Russian nuclear missile explodes in Russia. For everyone that loves to laugh, Russia is a gift that just keeps on giving. First, Russia became the first country in the world to have nukes and still get invaded. Then, Putin became the first Russian leader to lose territory since World War II. And now, Russian nuclear missiles are exploding in Russia. In fact, it exploded in the test site where it was supposed to launch from. What makes this situation even more laughable was the fact that this was not just a normal test that Russia was running to see if their missiles work or not. This was a show of force, and it was a kind of show of force that they built up a lot of excitement for. The foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, went on a big interview with Sky News where he basically gave a warning that Russia's nukes are locked and loaded. And then the plan was to show off this test as a signal to the world, as a signal to the West and NATO that Russia is not afraid to use its nukes. But unfortunately, the missile never took off. And the pictures and the videos that are coming out from the area are just truly comical. So let's get into all that in today's video and more. But first, I have a quick request for you guys. Sometimes our videos get downvoted heavily by Russian bots who just want to kill the reach of any video that criticizes Russia and Putin. So if you can just take a second to hit the like button below and share the video on your social media, that helps us out tremendously in the algorithm. Now, let's start. Putin recently did this fake press conference where he answered just one question, and the question was, what would Russia do if NATO gives Ukraine permission to strike inside Russia using Western weapons? The big reason he did this was there was a lot of news, at least last week, that NATO, more specifically the US, was leaning heavily towards giving Ukraine permission to strike inside Russia using Western weapons. Now, clearly, this is something Putin cannot afford in a war that's already going so horribly for Russia. So he did a press conference to send out a message to NATO saying that if NATO gives permission, that would mean NATO is at war with Russia. And just a reminder again, Russia is not afraid to use its nukes. So I guess after this interview, the world had a new red line, which would be the 100th one in this war that Russia has given. Now, a lot of experts, a lot of people a lot smarter than me, clearly saw this as what it was. It was a bluff that Russia was using to stop the West from helping Ukraine even more. Clearly, people didn't take it as seriously, so Russia had to up the stakes. Go a step further in their bluff, if you know what I mean. First, we had Dmitry Medvedev, the former Russian president, who said this in a Telegram post.
Russia has been patient. It is obvious that a nuclear response is a hugely complex decision with irreversible consequences. What arrogant Anglo-Saxon dimwits fail to admit, though, is that you can only test someone's patience for so long. It will turn out in the end that certain moderate Western analysts were right when they warned, true, the Russians are not likely to use this response, although it's still a possibility. Besides, they may use new delivery vehicles with conventional payloads. And then, it's over. A giant blot of molten gray mass in the place where the mother of Russian cities, historical name of Kiev, once stood. Holy, it's impossible, but it happened.
The problem is, no one takes Medvedev seriously. And here's the proof. This is what the US Department of State said after the Medvedev statement. Quote, "We know by now not to take Medvedev seriously. This is standard Kremlin nonsense." End quote. So Russia had to pull out the big guns. And by that, what I mean, they were going to test a nuclear missile and show the world that Russia is capable of what it's saying. Russia can use nukes if the West does not take it seriously. So the whole plan was the foreign ministry of Russia, which is Sergei Lavrov, he's going to go give this big speech where he's going to warn the West, warn NATO. And then right after the meeting, Russia is going to conduct this big test that's going to be show of force to everyone who thinks Russia is not serious. But it didn't exactly go as planned. So first, let's go over the statement that Sergei Lavrov did, and then we'll look at the test and how it went.
There is a question in the context of references to Russia's use of nuclear weapons. We know about the Russian Federation's doctrine in this sphere. Each time the red lines are crossed, the question arises as to where they really lie in the context of nuclear weapons. We talk about the red lines in the hope that our assessments and statements will be heard by clever decision makers. It is silly to say that we will push the red button if tomorrow you fail to do as I demand. I am confident that the decision makers are aware of what we mean in these situations. No one wants a nuclear war. We said this time and again. Let me assure you that we have weapons whose use will involve grave consequences for the masters of the Ukrainian regime. These weapons are available and on full alert status.
Alright, so after this, the plan was to use the new Russian missile in a test flight as a show of force to the world. The missile to be used was RS-28 Sarmat, or it's commonly known as Satan II. I would like to point out that this is not a Soviet-era missile, so it's not an old one. This is actually a relatively new Russian weapon that was unveiled in March 2018, and the first test flight took place in April 2022, right after the invasion started. Now, we already know all the old Soviet-style weapons are breaking down on the front line for Russia, but this is a brand new missile that Russia has been boasting about as a huge accomplishment for their defense industry. And as you'll soon see, the failure was massive. As you can see from the tweet on your screen, Russians prepared a test launch of one of their RS-28 Sarmat ballistic missiles. However, the test failed before it even started. Apparently, the missile exploded on the ground during the fueling process, destroying the whole silo and most of the launch site. Here you can see the image of the silo, which is pretty much destroyed, and soon I'll show you the before and after so you can see how it looked like before. But some people may question how a missile was able to destroy the whole testing site before even taking off. Well, that's because the missile had fuel enough to travel around 18,000 kilometers, or roughly 11,000 miles. So when things went wrong, all that fuel went boom. Here you can see the before and after of the launch site, which clearly shows there was an explosion and the site was destroyed. The big reason we have to use satellite maps and satellite imagery is because, of course, Russia is never gonna admit this went horribly wrong. And the reason we know that this went horribly wrong is because of open source intelligence. By the way, important note before moving on, these missile tests don't actually have a nuclear warhead attached to them, because after all, they are just tests, so they just have a fake warhead for data taking purposes. But anyways, Peter Zihan does bring up a good point here. We already know that Russia's Soviet-era weapons are falling apart. The big reason we know this is because at the start of the war, Ukrainian forces carefully examined Russian weapons recovered from the battlefield, hoping to learn any insights that could give them an edge. Maybe they could tweak and improve their own gear to turn the tables on Russians and give them a taste of their own medicine. But after a thorough inspection, the Ukrainians quickly realized that most of Russian weapons were outdated and unreliable. In fact, they were so bad that compared to modern Western weapons, the Ukrainians outright called them, and I quote, ineffective and obsolete. On top of that, it's important to note that this was not a Soviet-era missile. In fact, this was a relatively new missile, which took its first test flight in April 2022. Unfortunately, that was the one and only successful test flight it ever had. Since then, the missile has failed 4 times. Maybe it's time we consider that Russian nuclear arsenal may be in as poor of a shape as everything else in the Russian military. After all, the nuclear weapons do require a very high maintenance to keep them in ready form. Recently, we learned that because of corruption, the Chinese missiles were filled with water instead of fuel, because soldiers were just taking out the fuel and selling it for personal profit. Now, Russia is no better when it comes to corruption. In fact, Kursk invasion was made possible because of corruption in Russia. I think the Russian government spent hundreds of millions of dollars fortifying the border, but when Ukrainian forces came across the border, Putin realized that the person responsible for fortifying the border in fact just pocketed the money and did a very lousy job that made it possible for Ukraine to invade Russia. But anyways, this doesn't mean that the bluffs from Russia will stop. Just last week, we had a close advisor to Putin come on Times Radio and say if Ukraine gets permission to use Storm Shadow missiles inside Russia, a missile that's from UK, then Putin will be forced to attack Britain. Now, I know that might be hard to believe, but listen to it. Now, of course, they're not just gonna attack Britain. They're also gonna attack Poland and Romania, because after all, the attack in Ukraine is going so well for Russia. But anyways, Michael Clark had a perfect response to this, just reminding Russia that Britain has nuclear weapons too. Before we get into that though, let's listen to the Putin press conference that everyone is just repeating from Russia's side.
We are seeing is an attempt to substitute notions. Because this is not a question of whether the Kiev regime is allowed or not allowed to strike targets on Russian territory. It is already carrying out strikes using unmanned aerial vehicles and other means. But using Western-made long-range precision weapons is a completely different story. The fact is that I have mentioned this, and any expert both in our country and in the West will confirm this. The Ukrainian army is not capable of using cutting-edge high-precision long-range systems supplied by the West. They cannot do that. These weapons are impossible to employ without intelligence data from satellites which Ukraine does not have. This can only be done using the European Union's satellites or US satellites, in general NATO satellites. This is the first point. The second point, perhaps the most important, the key point even, is that only NATO military personnel can assign flight missions to these missile systems. Ukrainian servicemen cannot do this. Therefore, it is not a question of allowing the Ukrainian regime to strike Russia with these weapons or not. It is about deciding whether NATO countries become directly involved in the military conflict or not. If this decision is made, it will mean nothing short of direct involvement. It will mean that NATO countries, the United States and European countries are parties to the war in Ukraine. This will mean their direct involvement in the conflict, and it will clearly change the very essence, the very nature of the conflict dramatically. This will mean that NATO countries, the United States and European countries, are at war with Russia. And if this is the case, then bearing in mind the change in the essence of the conflict, we will make appropriate decisions in response to the threats that will be posed to us.
Now let's listen to Michael Clark's response. Now, this Russia-Ukraine war, much like any geopolitical event, it's moving very fast, and it's pretty much impossible to keep up with all the news. That's why we launched Global Recap, a geopolitical newsletter that covers the world news in a quick and simple way. Every day we send out an email directly to your inbox that covers the most important geopolitical news that you can read in less than 5 minutes. Trust me, because I do it every day. Best of all, it's completely free and you can sign up now by using the link in the description or scanning the QR code. Sign up now and become more knowledgeable about the world you live in.